Welcome to yet another episode of Dracula Story. In this episode, we are covering the build of Dracula's Kennel. Here I am giving you a quick list of the components used for the build. The frame was made of 2-inch and 1.5-inch angulars, the floor with plastic boards, interlocking, and the roof with poly sheets. The other consumables are also given in the list. We started our build by creating a 5 into 10 feet frame with the 2-inch anglers. We had two protruding pieces to be fit on a wall. I'll show it later. The intention is to have it like a mezzanine floor above the two levels of my house. This is a plastic board that we used. So we chose the angulars over the standard pipes to make sure that it is sturdy, it can take the weight, and it will not rust if there is contact with liquid. We had the two gentlemen, Rajesh and Ranjit, helping me with the build. These are the people who help me with most of the steel works in most of my projects. Here with the cross members also fitted on the frame, we are just trying out laying the interlocking plastic boards, just a sample to see how it works. We had put the cross members at 2 feet distance apart, as the plastic boards were 1 into 2 feet long. This is Draco. He is now resting in my sit out on my doormat. That is a roofing sheet that we are using for the build. And this is exactly where we are fitting the base of the kennel. So I have two levels of property, one where my house is there and another one where my garden is. So this would be floating at the house floor level, the frame attached to the wall. So those protruding pieces are put into the wall and fixed to the wall by welding in 8-inch torsion bars. So that, and then we will fill it with cement, so that gives a good thing. And there would be one strong pillar at one corner, and the other corner is resting on the staircase to the lower floor. And we are just laying out the boards so that the positioning was decided so that Draco will have a view at the house, the garden, and both the gates at the different levels. Once we are done, we know we'll have to add an extra stud between the 2 feet because the boards would require extra support. So we are just load testing the frame so that the frame stands, so it can easily carry the weight of 3 adults without any issue. Kind of, that is 200 kg. Draco's maximum weight is going to be around 90 kg, so the frame is sturdy enough. So now you can see that we are adding those extra pieces between that 2 feet angulars. So this will be an extra support for the boards. The board is 2 feet long. This extra angulars that we are welding in between will give it a support at 1 feet, so that it makes the entire setup much more stronger. That is a view of the extra support from the bottom. So the interlocking happens at 2 feet intervals with one bar supporting at 1 feet. Here we are fixing the corner pillar. We are using a 4" by 4" steel pipe and filling it with concrete to give it an extra sturdiness and also to prevent rusting if some water seeps in to the pillar at some point of time. So we are carefully pouring in the concrete into the 4x4 steel pipe. So this will be tightly packed and filled with concrete. And then we will add a steel plate on top and fix it under the frame. It took 2 buckets of concrete to fill the pipe. So now Rajesh is welding the 4" pillar into the pit done for it, and he is adding 8" torsion bars crisscrossing the pit and attached to the pillar, so that once concrete is filled, this will be very firm and sturdy. So you can see that's how it's fit under the frame. There is a steel plate closing the pipe from the top so that it will prevent water seepage. Anyway, since it's filled with concrete, water seepage will not be an issue. So you can see that plate, and the frame is resting on top of that plate. So now with the frame done, what we are right now doing is completing the weldings. So whatever is spot welded is now being welded firmly in place. That is again Draco handling a bond that is bigger than himself. But his bite force is pretty good. He manages somehow to destroy them. So what we now have is on the 4 corners we have added steel pipes. We have added a frame on top. The height of the kennel is going to be 7 feet. And in the rest of the spaces we are adding solid steel bars connecting the base and the top frame. So what we find is we were initially planning to have just the bar connecting both. Then we find that the bars would be a bit shaky and we will have to add one more pipe in the middle. We are also planning to leave a space near the wall facing the house, a 1 feet space where we can reach out and pet him even if he is in the kennel. Anyways, we are not planning to let him alone in the kennel. We are building it so tall that Ranjit is 6 feet tall. You can see it is taller than him, so that we can easily walk in and handle him or pet him even if he is in the kennel. So it's not like we are enclosing him in a small space. So the effective size is going to have is 5 feet into 10 feet into 7 feet high. Guess it is pretty large for his size. He might grow up to 30 to 32 inches tall at the withers. So I guess it is pretty good for him size wise. With the trees from the garden so close to the kennel will also have enough shade. But anyways, later on I am planning to grow some kind of creepers onto the roof of the kennel, which will absorb of all the summer heat in Trivandrum. So we are adding those bar at exactly 4 inches distance, and we are properly welding it tight from the top and the bottom. So now that is how it looks with the bars completed. We have put an A-frame. So the center of the A-frame is again 2 feet higher than the sides. So effectively the middle portion will have a height of 9 feet approximately. Hey Draco. So now we are putting bars connecting the A-frame so that the roof sheet can be attached to it. And you can see Ranjit welding out the door for the kennel. Again, that's also 7 feet tall. A human can easily walk in. So it is meant for a human to walk in. Those are the finishing touches on the roof frame. 2 pipes welded on both sides of the A-frame. So the sheets will be placed on top and screwed in. We are giving it a coat of grey paint which goes in line with my house's paint theme. We are making sure that the roof is painted. That's the door. Pretty tall. And I've just asked that bar in the middle to be placed exactly in line with the bar for the other places. So that is removing a piece of frame of my transparent roof there, where I have grown some vines to give some shade. So now both the roofs are converging in the middle, and we will put a channel for water there so that no water would be falling into the middle or spill into the kennel. We have to take that precaution for the heavy Trivandrum rains. Here we are affixing the plastic sheets on top of the roof with self screws, so we don't have to add a insert anything apart the screws. It will just screw directly onto the bars that we have welded on the roof. Yeah, that's it. Can be easily removed and retighted as necessary. Once the initial hole is done, it will just take the screw. You can even replace the screws. So we have the sheet laid on one side, and this is probably the last sheet that would be, or I think 2 more sheets are there. So we have laid the sheet so that there is a 2 feet projection on both ends to prevent water seepage. So with a holder for the channel is now inserted. You can see the curved transparent roof and the roof of the new kennel ending into the channel, so that the water can be taken back, and with a pipe fixture it can just be dropped into the garden area. So the drainage fittings to drop the water to the garden area will be at the end. So you have a end cap which has a 3-inch drop where we will attach a pipe, and it will just expel the water at the floor level. So this end cap will be fixed with silica so that there is no leakage at the end and the entire water goes down. അതിൻ്റെ ഹോള് നേരെ ഇതേലോട്ടാണ് അല്ലേ? അതവിടെ നമ്മൾ ആംഗിൾ അടിച്ച് താഴെ കൊണ്ടുപോകും അല്ലേ? So that is the final fixture of the 4 floorboards. Each floorboard is washed thoroughly, and now we are fitting it on top of the frame. The roof is done, the channels for water seepage is done, the floor as well as the sides are painted. So Ranjit is fixing in the interlocking plastic pieces. So it has a grip on the angulars 2 feet apart, and the angular in the middle just supports it, and one board is connected to the another very strongly. So it's a very good setup, I think. The good thing is the floor will always be dry. There won't be any waterlogging. Even if there's some water is seeped onto the floor during heavy rain also, or wind. I think 2 more rows to go. You can now clearly see where the hooks on the board goes and how the boards get interconnected. And you can see the next board will go straight to the third one, and the middle channel, or rather the middle small angular, will support the frame. എല്ലാം എൻ്റെ കാൽപാദം വരുന്ന ഒരേ ആംഗിളിലല്ലേ വരുന്നത്. We had to break that interlocking projections on one side where it meets the grills. അവൻ താഴെ കണ്ട ഏത് അത് ഞാൻ കഴുകാനിട്ട. നീ അത് കഴുകാത്ത സാധനം എടുത്ത് എൻ്റെ ബൈക്കിൻ്റെ മണ്ട വെച്ചേക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ബൈക്കിൻ്റെ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ഞാനത് പിന്നെ ഒന്നുകൂടെ കഴുകി. You can see Draco dashing in from the garden. അതേ മുള്ളി താഴത്തെ അത് കഴുകാൻ വന്നപ്പോൾ കറണ്ട് പോയി. നീ വന്നു മേലെ വന്നു. ആശയുടെ സൗണ്ട് കേട്ടോണ്ട്. Now we are ready for the last row of the flooring. Each row is 5 boards, 1x2 in size. So once we lay that layer, the build is complete. ഇവിടെ അടിക്കാം, അവിടെ സാധനം ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. കറണ്ട് വരട്ടെ, നീ KCB യിൽ കംപ്ലൈൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. And there it goes, the last piece of the floor, and effectively the build is done. Wow, it was a good project. It took us around 7 days to complete, 2 people working, and on the last day only Ranjit was there. So if you look at the cost, kind of cost me approximately 45k. Thank you for watching. You know what to do. Subscribe, like, share, hit the notification button. I need not tell you that, and I'm not good at that. Please do whatever is needed. Thank you.